Hey, I'm James. Meet the Genuine Hooligan 170i, a fuel-injected powerhouse designed for riders who crave speed, style, and control. Let's take a closer look at what makes this scooter a true street warrior. All right, so let's highlight some of the broad features of this scooter. This is the longest wheelbase that we have in any of our Genuine product line. And so with a very long wheelbase, what that does is it gives you a lot of straight line stability, also larger diameter wheels. And these have the widest wheels. It's a 130/70/12 on the rear and a 120/70/12 in the front. And so what that gives you is very broad contact patch with the road. Very long wheelbase means good high speed stability. And the other advantage of a long wheelbase is there's plenty of leg room on this scooter. As you see, I'm 6'1" and plenty of space for myself and my knees as well as a passenger. So if you ride two up a lot or if you're a taller, bigger person, this scooter is going to be very capable for whatever you want to do. All right, the Hooligan has a sporty, aggressive styling, and it comes in three different colors. We have matte black, which you see here. We have a matte titanium and a gloss white. It's got a very modern look, and it's got modern touches like LED lights. Also, it has a bit of ruggedness to it. So we'll show some of the features that kind of fit a sporty and rugged combination of the Genuine Hooligan. As I mentioned earlier, this scooter is great for those of you that ride two up. Which I do occasionally. So you see here we have retractable foot pegs. You just press them in and they pop out. And you can see that this is really great for a passenger. So some of these scooters, when you sit on them, and if they don't have these retractable foot pegs, somebody's trying to put their foot here and it's not as secure. But with a retractable foot peg, you get a very, very secure foothold for your passenger, and that makes them feel comfortable and it makes them want to ride with you more. Scootering is fun. We definitely like to enjoy it with other people, and this helps facilitate that. So if your passenger is not comfortable, they're not going to want to go on a ride with you to, maybe a picnic or go ride around downtown and have a good time. So this is one of the things I look for in any good scooter is good passenger footing, and the Hooligan definitely has that covered. One of the other great features of the Hooligan is this very wide floorboard. And as you can see here, there's some hooks down on either side of the scooter. Those accommodate like a cargo net or anything. So if you have a lot of stuff, maybe you went out to the farmer's market and you grabbed a little bit more than you thought you were going to grab, just grab your cargo net out and you can strap stuff to the floorboard of this scooter. And as we discussed, it's got these integrated hooks that are attached right to the frame. So if you want to strap something down, it's very easy to get a cargo net or any other type of strap that you want to put on here, bungee cord maybe, and it'll hold whatever good that you want to carry. All right, as I mentioned earlier, the underseat storage area is quite sufficient on the Genuine Hooligan. Let's pop the trunk and see what we got. So I've got the Prima cargo net, which you saw in action. I've got some cool stickers. The Greasy Gorilla, if you know, you know. Keep on scooting, that's something we never want to stop. And Redline advisory sticker, explicit performance. Check out Redline at scooterworks.com. I also got the Hooligan Owner's Manual. Got the Lemonhead trusty lunch pail, which I bring with me everywhere I go, and you can see it fits a helmet under the seat as well. So plenty of storage space on the Hooligan. You'll be able to carry plenty of cargo wherever you may want to go. Like most other Genuine models, we have the integrated helmet D-ring security feature. So if you want to store your helmet and you don't want to place it underneath the seat, you simply find the D-ring on your helmet and you'll see these pins located on the seat bucket right near the front hinge. And these allow you to easily slip your helmet over top on the D-ring, and then once you latch your seat, you're very secure and your helmet is securely attached. Nobody will be able to take it. You don't have to carry it with you inside the restaurant or coffee shop or store. And you still have plenty of space elsewhere on the scooter for storing whatever items you want to store in those areas. All right, as I mentioned earlier, there is a front storage pocket on the inner leg shield. Here you can throw smaller items, maybe a cell phone, or say you want to throw in your cargo net there. Gloves, there's just plenty of things you can set in there. Also, we have a convenient hook here, so if you grab something from the store, here I've got some NCY swag, and you can just throw grocery bags or anything else that you want on this bag hook. All right, one of the other great features, USB charging. So if you look here, we have a waterproof cover. You just simply lift that up and there's a USB charging port here. So if you want to charge your cell phone, or you have other devices that you may want to power via the USB. Okay, one of the other great features is the fuel fill location on the Hooligan is right here on the inner leg shield. And this is one of my favorite features for a couple reasons. One is that I don't have to get off the scooter when I pull up to the fuel station. I just simply roll in and a quick press of the button, open up the fuel cap, and I can fill while I'm sitting on the seat. The other cool thing about this is normally you have to get off your scooter, lift the seat, and the fuel tank is located high and in the rear of the vehicle. When you have a fuel fill location here, the fuel tank is actually underneath the floorboard. So what that does is take a lot of the weight and center it very low and in the middle of the scooter. So the center of gravity is much lower and centralized than a traditional scooter. And that just makes the scooter much more maneuverable. All right, let's go through the controls, the pilot controls on the Hooligan 170. Left-hand side, we've got low beam, high beam, up for high beam, down for low beam, and there's a pass button. So if you want to pass, this will flash to the person in front of you that you're trying to pass them. We have turn signals, left, right, cancel, horn button. Without the key on, this is not going to function, but we're going to turn the key on in a second. Right hand control, we have run, kill, hazard, hazard off, and start. So let's power up the Hooligan and take a look at the dash. You see manual tack digital dash, put it in run position. You see we have a low fuel level. That's what the blinking means on the left. So the fuel level is going to be here. This is your miles an hour, and this is your odometer. This is a brand new vehicle, so our odometer's at 0 and we're not moving, so the mile an hour is 0. Let's fire it up. Pull in the brake. You can hear a great throaty sound on the Hooligan. And you can see the tachometer starts to move. As the bike idles, we've got great blue LED backlighting. And high beam switch, flash to pass. Very loud horn. Turn signal indicator. So great rider controls on the Genuine Hooligan. All right, the ignition switch on the Hooligan is multifunctional. We have right and left. So when you insert the key, this is off position. And there's a push feature as well that when you push in the key and turn, it will do something different than if you just turn the key by itself. So once you insert the key, if you turn to the right, that will power your scooter. If you press in the key and turn to the right, that will release your fuel cap. If you press in and turn to the left, that will release your trunk. So if you remember, pressing in opens things, fuel cap or trunk, and inserting the key, turning the right, powers on. Inserting the key and turning to the left will lock the handlebar. Okay, let's go through the locking procedure. This is a security feature. Turn the bars all the way to the left, and once you insert the key and turn it to the left and remove the key from the ignition, your handlebars will be locked. And this helps prevent people from walking off with your scooter because they're only going to be able to walk in a circle. It's turned fully left. And once you want to go ride again, simply insert the key, and once you go back to the middle of the ignition switch, which is the off position, the handlebars will unlock and you can turn the handlebars left to right. All right, the Hooligan is equipped with LED lighting for turn signals and the high beam. So let's take a look. You can see very bright LED lights. So when you make a turn, people are going to know that you're indicating you're going left or right. Here you see the hazards on. But LED turn signals are great because they're very bright and easily visible to your fellow motorists. Also, you can see the flash to pass LED projector light here at the bottom front of the scooter. That's also your high beam. So when I turn on the high beam when the scooter's running, that's going to power up. You got to be running to have this light on. So on the Hooligan, this is your low beam light, and when you switch to high beam, it's the projector light, or if you're flash to pass, projector light comes on. All right, as you can see, similar to the front, we have LED tail lights in the rear. Let's take a look at those. We also have LED brake lights, and once I start the scooter, you're going to see LED tail light as well. All right, the Genuine Hooligan 170i is fuel-injected 170cc scooter with an automatic CVT transmission. The advantage of fuel injection is many. One would be easier cold starts. Two would be it keeps your engine cooler on hot days. It'll add some fuel to cool the engine temperature. It also reacts to air temperature. There's all sorts of benefits to fuel injection. 170 cc's gives you plenty of power to get up to speeds over 65 miles an hour. You may be going up hills, carrying passengers. Again, this vehicle is designed to carry weight and go fast. So the 170 cc fuel-injected power plant is plenty capable. Also, this is a key-in fuel injection system. So you've all heard of key-in carburetors. They're notorious Japanese carburetors found on many vehicles over the years. So this is a key-in fuel injection system. Also, you can tell the exhaust note of the Hooligan is very deep and throaty. Let's fire it up and hear what it sounds like. It's got a lot of bass. Love the sound of the Hooligan. So get out there and enjoy the ride. Plenty of power to be had on this ride. All right, one of the great features of the Hooligan is this external oil cooler. So most scooter engines, or many of them, are air-cooled. This is no different, with the exception that it has an oil cooler, which is basically a mini radiator. So it takes the oil from the engine, it runs it through this radiator here near the front, and it exposes it to nice, cool, fresh air at a high pressure underneath the front wheel here. And that pulls heat out of the oil. So if you're riding at higher speeds, you want a cooler oil temperature, because basically oil is all you have to protect your engine. And the cooler your oil is, the more power you have, but also the increased longevity that you have in your scooter. So with an external oil cooler, you can make sure that when you're riding around with a load or at higher speeds, the Hooligan will pull the temperature down on your oil. Also, it increases the capacity of the oil. So obviously there's hoses back and forth between this radiator and the engine. And the radiator itself it significantly increases the oil volume in the scooter, which is better. In this case, it'll keep your engine running much longer. This scooter is built for performance, and let's talk about some of the things that you don't always see on many scooters. Here you'll see this swing arm on the right-hand side. That allows for a second shock. So many scooters come with one shock in the rear. This has dual shocks, and it's because of the swing arm attached to the motor that allows for a dual shock setup. Also, we have adjustable preload on the shock, so you can set the spring compression on your shock by moving this collar at the bottom here. And so if you're carrying heavier loads, you run a higher preload, and if you want a more plush ride, then you would run a lower preload, or if you're a lighter rider. Also, you'll notice we have disc brakes on the rear. There's a disc brake on the front as well. We'll go through that in a minute. Steel braided brake lines, so we'll talk about the advantages of those when we get to the front. But this scooter is designed for very durable riding under heavy loads at high speed. So great braking capability, suspension tuning, and load capacity with a dual rear shock and an additional swing arm, and massive braking power with dual disc brakes and steel braided brake lines. All right, let's take a look at the front of the scooter. Here we have a traditional telescopic fork. You'll notice on the braking system we have a wave rotor. This is kind of a unique shape, and the purpose of this design is to dissipate heat better. So with less material in this wave fashion, as it passes through the caliper, you get a lot more turbulence happening, and what that does is cool the disc brake down. So if you're going under high demand braking conditions, like maybe you're riding the tail of the dragon or riding down steep hills in the streets of San Francisco, this wave rotor will keep your brake system cool. We have a dual piston caliper up front, and that gives you plenty of brake pressure on this hydraulic system. So another benefit, you can be sure that whatever braking conditions you're experiencing, this Hooligan has the equipment that will be able to handle the circumstance. All right, the Hooligan comes with 12-inch alloy wheels, front and rear, and you can see it's equipped with Maxxis tires directly from the factory. This is a 120/70/12, and what that is quite a large tire that's found on the back side of many scooters. That's a common tire size, but this is the front. The rear of this vehicle has a 130/70/12 tire, and that's a pretty wide tire. It gives you a large contact patch, so you can be sure that you've got plenty of grip between your tire and the road with these wide, rugged tires. It also gives you maximum grip when you're cornering, and it also helps disperse the load when you're carrying 2 passengers or other heavy cargo. A larger contact patch gives better feel as you go down the road. All right, so as you can see, we discussed adjustable preload. There's a pin location on the scooter, and you can see it right here, and this has like little steps here. So as you turn this collar, the step would jump up on this pin on the lower section of the shock, and it would increase the spring by putting pressure upward. That's called preload. So again, if you have heavier loads, you want a little bit more preload. That gives you more support on the rear of the bike to accommodate either passengers or cargo or what have you. And vice versa, if you turn this to the right, you'll go to a lower step and you'll have less pressure on the rear spring, and that would be a more compliant suspension. So adjustability is one of the great features of the Hooligan. Also, you can see the Maxxis rear tire here in the photo, 130/70/12, very large contact patch, very broad tire, and you can see the super grippy street tread pattern. This thing is built to ride. Are you ready to rule the streets? The Genuine Hooligan 170i is the perfect mix of power, style, and functionality. Visit genuinescooters.com for more information, and check out your local dealer to see the Genuine Hooligan in person. Again, I'm James, and thanks for watching.